There it is. Here I come.
All right.
Looks like Sally's coming over for Kwanzaa. Abarigani.
Hi, Moja.
Oh, Abarigani. first day of Kwanzaa. Saturday, January 26th. And here's my family. Have a seat. Have a seat. So glad you're here today. We've got the Kwanzaa display set up, and we're all ready to. What I want to share with you, that this week, starting today, the first day of Kwanzaa, we'll be having our celebration, and we'll be observing and discussing and making things and just doing various things to celebrate Kwanzaa. And I was so glad when you came in that you all said, I said Habarigani to you, which means what news do you bring? You told me the first day of Kwanzaa. You said Umoja. So I'm so glad for that. So let's try that again. Habarigani.
Umoja.
All right. Today is a very special day. We'll be having our first principle. The first principle is Umoja. And Matt McDowell will be talking and presenting his views on Umoja. So just sit back and relax and get ready to hear Matt McDowell talk about today's principle. Habarigani.
Umoja.
All right. Go. Heri za Kwanzaa. Happy Kwanzaa. I bring you news of the start of Kwanzaa. Dr. Maulana Karenga unveiled Kwanzaa in 1966 to fill the gaps where the U.S. had failed African Americans. So much was going on in the mid-60s in America. The Civil Rights Act of 1964 was a landmark civil rights and labor law that outlawed discrimination based on race, color, religion, sex, national origin, and later sexual orientation and gender identity. Racial riots were happening all over U.S. cities. At the start of 1966, Dr. King began a drive to register Black voters. It sounds a little like Georgia today, doesn't it? In fact, he moved to my neighborhood on the west side of Chicago to protest and bring attention to the poor living conditions for Blacks in the city. In an effort to promote fair housing, he also tried to bring attention to the racial discrimination that Blacks faced when trying to buy homes in blue-collar white neighborhoods, such as Marquette Park. As head of the Black Studies, Africana Studies to be exact, at California State University, Dr. Karenga had researched African harvest celebrations and had combined aspects of several of them, Ashanti and Zulu tribes especially. The name Kwanzaa came from the phrase Matunda ya Kwanza, which means first fruits of the harvest in Swahili. Many of the celebrations included singing and dancing, storytelling and poetry reading, African drumming and feasting. Dr. Karenga used many aspects from these traditional first fruits celebrations: the collecting of the first and best fruits harvested, the thankfulness of the people for the harvest, the ingathering of a grateful community of people that were grateful and thankful to God, our Creator, and offering a profound reverence. The commemoration of the past offered a profound respect to our ancestors, and we honor our heritage in our roots, in our lineage, and in so doing, We connect the past, present, and future generations. The Ashanti tribe would have a day of remembrance of the ancestors. Libations would be performed for the ancestors. The intercessions and blessings would be invoked as their names were called out in a ritual of remembrance. And they were given thanks and praise for their legacy and their guidance. We'll take time now as we start to give our libation statements and to honor our ancestors. Tamshi La Tambiko.
At this time, we introduce Shelley Moore Guy, who will be discussing the history of Kwanzaa in the Quad Cities.
Greetings, Habari Ganai. How are we doing? Habari
Umoja.
Amoja. We welcome everyone. We're so happy that you have been able to join us here for our first virtual Kwanzaa event. As we know, we weren't able to do our Kwanzaa as we have been doing it now. This is our 20th year, and so we're so proud about that. We want to first give thanks to Jerry Jones and the Martin Luther King Center in Rock Island, because they have been a faithful partner with Ebony Expressions every single year. So we want to acknowledge the Martin Luther King Center. I wanted to let you know that, yes, this has been 20 years with the Martin Luther King Center and Ebony Expressions, but our Kwanzaa celebrations that I can remember here in the Quad Cities goes back to the mid 80s, and maybe even before that. I remember attending Kwanzaa celebrations at Augustana College in Rock Island. It was new to a lot of us. We took our children. There was always a keynote speaker. There was a lot of fellowship and just a warm feeling. There was a community feast. We just had a lovely time. One of the things that the Black Student Union did as they presented Kwanzaa at Augustana is they asked everyone who would come to bring canned goods so that they could donate to one of the local food pantries. And so we have kept up that tradition every year as we get together at the Martin Luther King Center every year. We do ask people to come in and contribute. And there's never been a problem. We are generous here in the Quad Cities. And so when we began, we discussed how we would structure a program. A lot of communities have been able to celebrate every day, each of the 7 days. We have been able to do some of that through the years, but we normally have one large program. We have had years where we've had a couple of days where we help children, people from the community come in, volunteer to help children make Kwanzaa gifts and things of that nature. But we have one day where we celebrate together. We always have a lot of people in the community. What we decided to do from the very beginning is to instead of having one speaker, we would ask 7 speakers. We ask each of them to choose one of the 7 principles and speak on that principle, because we wanted to begin a tradition of inclusiveness. We believe that everyone has a story, and that these 7 principles are so relevant to everyone's lives that any one of us can come forward and speak on one of these principles. And we want it to be so inclusive in that way, and honor one another and all of our stories. And so we would always ask that the participants prepare a 2 to 5 minute conversation. And that's what we are having here. This is about communicating with our neighbors and friends, and that's what Kwanzaa is about. It's this one day, this one particular stretch of time every year when we can reflect back on the year, reflect on our lives, and talk about how these principles are relevant to our individual lives and our collective lives here in the community. And so each of the speakers prepares a conversation, and that's what it is. More than a speech, it is a conversation. And so that is just a little snippet of how we began here in the Quad Cities. And we picked it up 20 years ago after Augustana College had begun the tradition many years ago. So we're just happy to continue in that tradition. So happy to have our own Ethelene Boyd here. We call her Mother Kwanzaa, and her daughter, Dr. Wileen Owens, is here, and she is conducting this wonderful event, and we're so grateful for her and her participation. So without further ado, Ethelene is going to describe the libation and talk about the elders, significance of the elders in our lives and in this particular event.
Tamshi La Tambiko, the libation statement. On behalf of our elders, our fathers and mothers came here. They lived, loved, struggled, and built here. At this place, their love and labor rose like the sun and gave strength and meaning to the day. For them then, who gave so much, we give in return. On this same soil, we will sow our seeds and liberation and a higher level of human life. May our eyes be the eagle, our strength be the elephant, and the boldness of life be like the lion. And may we remember and honor our ancestors and the legacy they left for as long as the sun shines and the waters flow. To the north, south, east, and west, for our people everywhere then, for Shaka, Samora, and Nzinga, and all the others, known and unknown, who defended our ancestral land, our history and humanity from alien invaders. For Garvey, Muhammad, Malcolm, and King, Harriet, Fannie Lou, Sojourner, Bethune, and Nat Turner, and all the others who dare to define, defend, and develop our interests as a people. For our children and the fuller lives they will live because we struggled. For Kawada, I'll continue with the some of the most recent deaths in our community. John Lewis, representative from the state of Georgia. He helped us get into good trouble. Chadwick Boseman, co-star in Black Panther. He played many notable Black difference makers in films, such as when he was Thurgood Marshall in the movie Marshall. Kobe Bryant, who helped to acquire 5 championships for the LA Lakers, and who in addition received an Oscar for Best Animated Short Film. We lost so much with his and his daughter's untimely death. So for Kawadi and the Nguzo Saba, and I'm so grateful that Shelley wrote the wonderful book that honors and gives reference to many in our community, in Rock Island and Molina and in the Quad Cities. We'll hear more about that later. For Kawadi and Nguzo Saba, the new system of views and values which gives identity, purpose, and direction to our lives, for the new world we struggle to build, and for the continuing struggle through which we will inevitably rescue and reconstruct our history and humanity in our own image and according to our own needs. Harambe, harambe,
Harambe.
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 All right.
And so now we come to the part of our conversation where we share the words of Matt McDowell, who will speak on the first Kwanzaa principle, Umoja, unity.
Let the principle of Kwanzaa be the beginning of our solution in 2021, starting with principle number 1, Umoja, to strive for and maintain unity in our family, community, and the nation. I am because we are. Umoja stresses the importance of togetherness for the family, the community, and the race. I believe that everyone in our communities are responsible for one another, and by sharing and caring, we can create and achieve all. Let the impact of Umoja stimulate, create, and motivate us as we enter 2021. Oneness doesn't mean alone. Oneness sits high in the throne. Oneness gives us peace within. Oneness gives us strength to begin. Oneness shouts out, I am because we are. Oneness, when applied, can take us far. When we are connected, we are protected. No silver nor gold can determine our wealth, for oneness cures all with resilient health. Let oneness shine bright as the sun. Let oneness be our guide in 2021. Thank you.
All right now.
All right. Thank you, Matt. Wonderful.
Harambe.
Oneness. We are one.
For the reasons that we've mentioned, our theme this year is Kwanzaa and the well-being of the world, living and uplifting the 7 principles.
Here are several aspects of Kwanzaa, and what I want to share now with you are the 7 core symbols. These are the symbols that will be on everyone's table or a part of the decorations, or just a very important part of Kwanzaa. And here the 7 symbols are. Number 1, Mazao. Mazao are the crops, the fruit of the collective planning and work that was done. This is the harvest. We have things like nuts and fruit and vegetables on a makeka. And makeka is the second core symbol, and that is a placemat. The crops stand on the makeka just like the present day stands on the past. Our third core symbol is Muhindi. Muhindi is the ear of corn. Stalks of corn represent fertility, and the future hopes of the family are brought to life. There's one bibunzi for every child. And even in a family that does not have any children, they will have one ear of corn out. Fourth core symbol is Mishuma Saba, and those are the 7 candles. The candles are ceremonial objects that serve to symbolically recreate the sun power, as well as provide light. The 5th core symbol is the Kanara. The Kanara is the candle holder. It represents our ancestry and the original stock from which we came. The sixth core symbol is Kakumba Cha Umoja, the unity cup. On the sixth day of Kwanzaa, the libation ritual is often performed to honor the ancestors. Every guest and family member takes a drink together as a sign of unity and remembrance. And lastly, our seventh symbol is Zawadi, gifts. Gifts are given to encourage growth, achievement, and success. Handmade gifts are encouraged to promote self-determination, purpose, and creativity. And those are the 7 core symbols of Kwanzaa.
You know, thank you, Ethelene. We reflect back on everything that we have been doing for the past 20 years, and everything that you talked about in terms of the 7 Kwanzaa principles. You know, this is something that we do every year. We explain all the symbols and how these symbols pertain to our everyday lives, what we want to encourage people to do. And I think that everything that we have been doing, explaining the way that Matt McDowell explained the first principle, we urge you to reflect on each of the principles every single day. Reflect on the relevance of that principle in your life right now as you know it. And if it's not, how do you bring that unity, that oneness that Matt spoke about? How does that happen, that you develop that in your home with your family? And how does that expand out into the general community? What can we do to bring ourselves closer together? How can we actually live as one in this community and in our world? And so we ask that you reflect on that principle, umoja, unity, all day today on December 26th. And we are going to end this particular segment of our Kwanzaa celebration. And don't forget that for the next 6 days, we will be focusing on another principle, always at 12 noon. And we want you to join us, and hopefully you'll bring other people along with you. In the spirit of oneness, we are going to close today's conversation with a song by Wileen. She's going to share the Negro National Anthem, and it's so relevant today with this particular principle. We talk about how we can be as one. And if you know the words of the song, or you can find the words of the song, I think we're going to put the words up as she's singing. You can sing along and reflect on those words. Lift every voice and sing until earth and heaven ring with the harmony, that's togetherness, of liberty. And just join us. And as I said, continue to reflect. All right.
All right.
Lift every voice and sing to let the heaven ring with the harmonies of it. Let our rejoicing rise high as the living skies. Let it resound out as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. They sing the rising sun of a new day begun. Let us yet with a steady beat, have not our weary feet come to the place for which our Father sighed. We have come over a way that with tears has been watered. We have come treading our path with the blood of the slaughtered. Out from the gloomy past, till now we stand at last, where the white gleam of our bright star is cast. God of our wearies, God of our silent tears, thou who has brought us thus far on the way, thou who has by thy side led us into the light, keep us forever in the path we pray. Bless our feet. Bless our feet, stray from the places our God will be made. Bless our hearts, bless our hearts, drunk with the wine of the world we forget. That'll beneath thy hands, may we forever stand true to our God, to our native land. Thank you so much. Yes.
Yes. Umoja.
Umoja. See you tomorrow.
Join us tomorrow.